Let's have a look at lanyards, especially lanyards on knives, although you can put them on anything you want really. I like to use them on knives, multi-tools, flashlights and even lighters in some cases. There are many different styles of lanyards. I do have a chain that I've included that I sometimes like to use on a Swiss Army knife. It serves pretty much the same function. So there's two primary reasons for using a lanyard. One of them being aesthetics. It just improves the look of the knife, and it's a way to customize and personalize your knife and just make it a little more interesting. And the other is functionality. You could use a lanyard to secure it to your body to make it less likely or harder to lose your tool. So if it does somehow fall out your pocket or you drop it out of your hands and maybe you're above a river, well, it will still be attached to your belt or something, so you won't lose your knife. For the most part, lanyards are, serve as both as functional and, what would the word be? Both function and aesthetic. So I'll just show a few different types of lanyards that I personally use for both function and aesthetics. So the first one, we'll get this out of the way. This is just simply a chain. This is good for attaching to your belt loop. You have it hanging out. It just looks. Well, I think it looks good in some cases if you're wearing jeans. To have that chain there, but obviously it stops the knife falling out your pocket, and it would make it a little harder for someone to steal your knife. They would have to undo at least one of these clips to either take it, to take it out of your hand. Another style is the snake knot. This is probably the most common lanyard knot for knives. It is a very nice looking knot. It's fairly easy to tie, although it did take me quite a while to finally learn it. This knot here, you probably won't see that commonly on knives because, well, that's not really what this knot is for. This is a boating knot of some description. I did see this knot in a knot tying book, and I believe it's for if you're in a boat, you throw this to the shore and you basically use this to pull the boat to the dock and tie it around, although I may be mistaken. But this is definitely a sailing knot. Probably one of the most simple lanyards. This is a Victorinox. So it is made for Swiss Army knives, but you can put it on any knife or tool. This is on the Leatherman. A bit overpriced for what they are. These cost about £1 each. Sometimes they can cost £1.50. I've even seen these as high as £2 each, which is a lot of money for what it is. It's just a piece of cord with a piece of plastic with the Victorinox emblem on it. But nonetheless, I think it's a good option. This is a Cobra Weave, or a Solomon bar as its other name. This one is made out of leather. I thought leather would go well with wood. One of the easiest lanyards and bracelets actually to tie. Most people, when they get into tying paracord, make this knot. I should say that the snake knot and this heaving line are both paracord. Like I said, this is leather. You could use pretty much any cord or material you like to tie these knots. It really doesn't make much of a difference. All these ones that I'm showing you here, or at least most of them, you can make yourself, but are usually available to buy from anywhere that sells knives, or you can buy them from Amazon or eBay. Here's another functional knot. This is just a snake knot, but with a loop and an extended piece of cord. And my idea behind this is, if you wanted to use it, you could wrap it around itself like this, wrap it around your wrist, and you can't lose it. Bearing in mind, paracord is extremely strong. Of course it has to be, because it's meant for holding up parachutes. And here we have the exact same thing, except this is made with cotton cord. This is another one of those Victorinox lanyards. This is on a Swiss Army knife this time. This is the exact same thing as this one, except this one has a blank cartridge or a casing placed over it. This is from a blank firing pistol. How I did this was I just put this casing in an engineer's vise and I drilled out the primer. Now only do that if the casing has been spent. Do not do that with a live round. Otherwise you may end up with an explosion in your face. Again, similar idea. This is just a piece of paracord where I pushed 2 pieces through a spent casing, did a simple overhand knot, snipped it off and glued it in. There you go. Very, very simple lanyard on this Spyderco Ambitious. Here I have a reproduction First World War translator. With a very, very, very simple leather lanyard. All I did was I tied a simple overhand knot onto the bail, and I'm not entirely sure what this knot is called. I think it's very similar. It is a type of running knot, I believe. Around the leather itself, and this could move, tightening up the loop. So I could wear this either as a necklace, which I have done quite a lot. So I could have this around my neck, or I could tighten it up around my wrist. So that's dual function right there. It's just one piece of leather, probably about 2 feet long. On this torch, I've just looped a piece of leather around the hole and just tied it off and placed a carabiner on it. This is just so I could attach this to my belt loop, just so I don't lose it if I ever, whenever I use this light. So that's all about, that's all the things I have right here with lanyards on them. But before I end the video, I'd like to show a few other things you may want to buy for tying lanyards. So there's obviously these carabiners. This is actually a locking one. You could use these for making lanyards or just use these as key rings. There's this hook here. These are very cheap. These are really good for making these kind of lanyards. Not entirely sure what these are used for, but you could probably, or at least I intend to, do something similar to this, but so you could tighten up this piece if it was made larger. There's also these metal hooks, obviously key rings, and this is a very popular thing, although I personally don't think that much of them. You could use these beads. There are many shapes, sizes and styles of beads. It's not just skull beads, although the majority of beads are. It's just another way to make your knife look a little more interesting and personalise it. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you for watching.